President, are you urging Israel to delay its ground invasion, sir?
Israel is making their own decisions.
Ready. 2. Ready. Face. Ready. Step. Ready.
The real answer to that question is yes. The U.S. has been the one behind the scenes convincing Israel to delay this ground invasion. In fact, yesterday, there were talks between the U.S. and Israel, and the U.S. was trying to convince Israel to not invade at all, to just call off the invasion, and instead continue the airstrikes, gather intelligence, and do precise targeted raids into Gaza, taking out Hamas. Now, they claimed that this would limit the civilian casualties in Gaza. Now, obviously, I'm not on the ground out there. Obviously, these people have access to way more information than I do. But approaching it from a common sense standpoint, I really don't understand how not invading, but instead continuing to just bomb Gaza, I don't understand how that would limit civilian casualties. They have been constantly bombing Gaza for over 2 weeks now. Thousands of people have died. Thousands of civilians. I don't feel comfortable giving you an exact number because the numbers that are being reported are all over the place. And I don't really trust most of the sources putting the numbers out there. But over 2 weeks of nonstop bombing, they've leveled the place. I do believe there are thousands upon thousands of people who have lost their lives, and continuing to bomb Gaza, I don't see how that limits civilian casualties. I would think going in on the ground and fighting whoever confronts you, finding and tracking down Hamas, I feel like that would limit civilian casualties. If anything, the approach that America has suggested, I think that would limit Israeli casualties. It would limit the amount of casualties that the Israeli military sustains, and maybe it would limit some of the response from Israel's other enemies. But I mean, who knows? That's the talks that they were having yesterday. After that, Netanyahu came out and said, no, we're going along with the invasion, and in fact, we already came up with the plan and we have set the date. We know when we're going to invade. They didn't announce when that date would be. They didn't announce, when that time would come, but they say they already know the date. And now today, they have put a pause on the invasion once again because America has convinced them that they need to wait so America can position all of these air defense systems all around the Middle East. Now, like I told you yesterday, we're not sending all of this military equipment. We're not sending all of these ships. We're not, putting air defense systems all over the Middle East because of Gaza and Hamas. We're doing this because the U.S., if this does happen, which it looks like it is, the U.S. is getting ready for a bigger, a more wide-scale war. The problem between Hamas and Israel, that is very minuscule, in the grand scheme of things. All of this firepower that we're sending to the Middle East, we're preparing for something big. I don't think that we're just putting all of this stuff over there to deter Israel's enemies from making a move. I think that we're putting all of this stuff over there because we already know what we're about to do. And just today, there's already been multiple attacks once again on U.S. forces in Syria. Just today, I believe there's been 2 or 3 attacks already, at the time of this recording. Who knows if there may be more by the time you're watching this video. But they were talking about this earlier today in a press conference, the Pentagon. I want you all to listen to what they have to say, because it's not good, folks. And it looks like we're heading into something of the likes that we have never, those of us young folks, if you weren't alive during World War II, then I can safely say that we're heading into something the likes of which none of us alive have ever seen. But let's go ahead and listen to what these folks have to say.
Between October 17th and the 24th, U.S. and coalition forces have been attacked at least 10 separate times in Iraq and 3 separate times in Syria via a mix of one-way attack drones and rockets. So again, those are the initial numbers. We're continuing to work to CENTCOM to ensure we get you the facts on these.
These at least 13 attacks on U.S. forces in Iraq and Syria, do you believe that Iran is responsible for these? Were these all conducted by Iranian-backed proxies?
Well, I think we've been pretty clear on this, and my colleagues at the White House yesterday talked about this as well. We know that the groups conducting these attacks are supported by the IRGC and the Iranian regime. What we are seeing is the prospect for more significant escalation against U.S. forces and personnel across the region in the very near term, coming from Iranian proxy forces and ultimately from Iran. So by virtue of our announcement over the weekend, we are preparing for this escalation, both in terms of defending our forces and responding decisively. And I just want to emphasize the point that I made earlier, which is that we always reserve the right to defend ourselves, and we will never hesitate to take action when needed to protect our forces and our interests overseas. So to be clear, we have significant capabilities in the theater right now, right? I mean, you've got the Ford that's in the Eastern Mediterranean. You've got an expanded number of fighter aircraft throughout the region, in addition to the naval assets that are already in the Central Command AOR. So there should be no confusion whether or not we have the ability to respond to any potential threats right now. The announcement over the weekend, as it highlighted, is intended to enhance those capabilities and sustain those capabilities for as long as we may need in order to continue to both deter and protect our troops. Since that Hamas terrorist attack, we've also been crystal clear that we do not want to see the situation in Israel widen into a broader regional conflict. And as you've heard President Biden, Secretary Austin, and other senior U.S. leaders say, our message to any country or group thinking about trying to take advantage of this situation to widen the conflict is don't. We've already deployed a significant number of additional U.S. military capabilities into the region to bolster our regional deterrence efforts, strengthen our capabilities there, and enhance our ability to respond to a range of contingencies. In addition to the capabilities that we've already announced, I can also confirm that the New Jersey Air National Guard's 119th Expeditionary Fighter Squadron arrived within U.S. Central Command's area of responsibility today, with additional F-16 Fighting Falcon Squadron bolstering U.S. posture to deter further aggression in the region. And again, it is our aim to avoid any regional expansion of Israel's conflict with Hamas, but we stand ready and prepared to protect and defend our partners and our interests, and will act to do so. Finally, in terms of force protection, the message is simple. As Secretary Austin has consistently made clear, we will take all necessary measures to defend our troops and our interests overseas.
So long story short, we're getting ready for war with Iran. Long story short, we're getting ready for a massive war in the Middle East, because I can't even say we're getting ready for war with Iran, because we're getting ready for war with Iran, Lebanon. There's going to be violence in Iraq, Syria, Yemen. That's just to name a few. Who knows what else is going to happen? I am telling you, though, everyone, keep your eyes on Turkey. Keep your eyes on Turkey. The U.S. shot down a Turkish drone in Syria before all of this stuff happened in Israel. Now, Turkey's part of NATO, but Turkey is not with us when it comes to this conflict. Just keep your eyes on them, because something's going down there. There's already a rift between us and some of our so-called allies in NATO. Also, keep your eyes on Egypt. They're starting to make some moves that are really concerning to me, and I'm wondering what they're doing. You know, they're starting to put troops and military equipment on the border, and I understand that this is it's a very hectic, crazy situation over there because they got supplies rolling into Gaza from Egypt. They're trying to convince Egypt to take in some of these people from Gaza. So they're putting troops and military equipment out there, and it looks like maybe they're just there to, you know, make sure everything runs smoothly on the border. But at the same time, all I'm going to say is watch them. Because once this overall huge conflict starts raging out in the Middle East, there's going to be countries that are going to be forced to pick a side. And I think that a lot of them are going to side against America. Even ones that we thought were maybe, you know, neutral or maybe leaning towards our side. But France, the French Navy, just sent another ship to go meet up with our ships off the coast of Israel. So like I was reporting to you all before, NATO is amassing this huge fleet out there. You don't do this for a little terrorist group, okay? Even Australia is sending military equipment and troops to the Middle East as well. So everyone's getting in on this. Who knows what's going to come of this? But this looks like it's the next big thing, if you ask me. This is not me trying to scare anyone. This is just me being honest with my observations. There's way too much movement going on. Way too much military equipment, soldiers from various countries, all moving around the chessboard. And that means that something big is about to happen. You know, it takes a lot of money to move this stuff around. And the type of military equipment they're putting out there, it's for a big conflict. So, I mean, I would just say everyone go ahead and be prepared for the worst. And I don't care where you're living, where you're at watching this video right now. I know I have viewers all over the world. Don't think that this conflict doesn't have the potential to reach you as well, because it does. It does. But for now, let me know your thoughts about all of this down in the comments below. While you're down there, if you're feeling generous, drop a super thanks. Or you can support my channel for totally free by sharing this video, liking this video, subscribing, ringing that notification bell. And as always, I'll talk to you all soon in the next video.